This is the backtest page of a Tradinformed backtest model, and it may look complicated, but in fact there is a lot of logic in this. Over on the left we have the price data. In the middle we have the technical indicators and the calculations that are going into our entry and exit conditions. And then on the right we have the actual backtesting. And that's the long and the short. So I'm going to demonstrate some of the spreadsheet skills that are useful to know when you're changing and adding things to a Tradinformed model. Now the first thing is that we can put in a column more or less where we like, and it won't generally make any difference to the model. It will just allow us more room to work. However, it's always a good idea to put them in a logical place. Generally anywhere in here is fine. It wouldn't be a sensible idea to add a new column in the middle of the data for obvious reasons, because we like to have one set of data and one set of calculations kept ideally as they are. So I'm going to create a new exponential moving average, and doing this I'm going to demonstrate some of the skills. The first one of these, we can insert a new column where we like, and I'm putting up here something that I'm going to use as an absolute reference. Now we've got two types of references in a spreadsheet. We have absolute and relative references, and we're going to demonstrate both of them here. Now this is our exponential moving average factor, and I want all of the formulas being used in my exponential moving average to refer to this factor which I have just calculated here. So this is going to be an absolute reference cell. I'm going to calculate down 20 columns. I'm going to put in the built-in function equals average to create what we traders think of as a simple moving average. Okay, so the exponential moving average uses a nice simple formula, and it's going to be useful because we're going to demonstrate firstly here what is an relative reference. Now this is the close price. As we go down here, the close price, as we go through time, the close price obviously changes, and so we want each row to refer to the current close price. This is what we call a relative reference. So as this formula gets calculated down, it will shift down to reflect the close price of each day or each time period. Equals E24. E24 in this case is the absolute, as the relative reference. And I'm going to subtract from the close price the previous day's average. This is also a relative reference, and we can tell it's a relative reference because it doesn't have any dollar signs on it. E24 minus M23 is, all of them are relative. Now I'm going to multiply this by this value that we have just created here, and this is going to be an absolute reference. And the way I make it into an absolute reference is by putting dollar signs before the M and before the 3, and we can do this as a shortcut, at least on a PC, pressing the F4 key. I'm going to close that bracket, and I'm going to add to it the previous value. Again, this is a relative reference. There are no dollar symbols, so it is a relative reference. Okay, so we have our first calculation of the EMA. Now I'm going to drag this down. What I'm doing here is I am copying the data. It is exactly the same if I press Ctrl C and then Ctrl V. I'm just copying the data down. We can do this for multiple rows, like this, and we can even do it for the entire spreadsheet. And that's copied it down all 4,000 or 5,000 rows just by clicking on it. What I've done here is copying and pasting. This is the thing that you will use most of in most spreadsheets, and certainly in a Tradinformed backtest model. You will mostly be copying and pasting. But there are times when you need to cut and paste, and there is a difference, quite a big difference, and in that we're going to cut and paste this value here. Now this value is set to 20. If I switch it to 25, it's going to change our EMA reference, our EMA factor, and it's going to change the average all the way below here. So if I set it to 50, it's going to change the EMA for the entire spreadsheet. So what I might want to do here is move it to another part of the spreadsheet. And in particular, I usually want to move it onto the results tab. So I can do that by using cut and paste. So the quick way to do that is either press the right button on your mouse, click cut, or the shortcut, at least on a PC, is Control X. And then Control V, and it has moved it onto here. I can now adjust this value, and just like I was doing before, it will change all these values below. If I was to undo this and go back to my backtest, it's still there. If I was to press copy and paste, Control C, and move it wherever, all it would do is create a copy of the number, and it would, none of these affect what's going on here. The only way I can move this number is using cut and paste. So in this video we've looked at, we can insert a column where you like, but just move it to somewhere that is logical. You can use relative references, absolute references, copy and paste when appropriate, when copying formulas down in particular, but we may want to copy data, we may want to copy all sorts of things, but we use copy and paste for that. But if we want to move something that is controlling other things, that's when we use cut and paste.